Welcome everyone. International business environment. We will be talking on this particular topic during this video. The agenda is very simple. We'll try to break the international business environment into different components, provide you with suitable example, for example, in terms of formal trade barriers, explain the actions to encourage international trade and why is it required in the very first place. So the key terms is infrastructures, trade barriers, quota, tariff, and embargo. If you can understand these five terms, everything about international business environment is complete. So what is your infrastructure? And we are talking about very basic, fundamental infrastructure. The trade barriers, why there is taxes that comes into play, why a particular government is offensive with the taxes. Believe me, every time you impose a tax, the end customer ends up paying a huge amount. What about the quota? Now there is a belief that you have a trade quota with the country and you need not go beyond that surpluses that comes around it. Every country would love to have a surplus trade around it, but then that is it. Yes, there is a mandate with the respect of tariff, as in that the minimum, or should I say, the maximum price that one can be charging around it. The tariff rates goes around it, and embargo. There is a prohibitive list of what all items are allowed within the country and what are items have been excluded from entry to the country. So international business environment is all about geography. It is all about cultural influences, economic development. When I say economic development, I mean literacy level, I mean technology usage or adoption, and the agriculture dependency. When I say agriculture dependency, it is, if you look into it, whether it's a literacy level, technology, or agriculture dependency, we are looking in which predominant dominant economies that particular society is based on. Is it agricultural oriented, is it tech oriented, or is it just knowledge oriented? And obviously, yes, the political legal concerns always plays a major role. If there is a stable government in the federal place, probably we would love to deal with those countries, right? Vis-a-vis the countries where there are unstable government, where there is a changes in policies and procedures every now and then. It's frequently being changed, so it becomes very difficult for the business to adapt to an ever-changing scenario. So yes, international business environment is all about geography, cultural influences, economic development, and political legal concern. Let us dissect each of these components one by one for you to understand, as has been the mandate of this particular presentations, right? The geographical factors is all about location, climate, terrain, waterways, natural resources. Now, if you look into location, there are countries which are not set in equilibrium, where equilibrium or equator of the earth, wherein there's a balance between a day and night. Uh, Usually 10, 11, 12 hours of day and 10, 11, 12 hours of night. But then there are countries which have 4, 5, 6 hours of sunlight, and there are countries which have 4, 5, 6 hours of nightlife altogether, darkness. Now you need to understand the location, the productivity. The climate plays an important role. Is it freezing cold, or is it a hot and a humid place that you are trying to shift? The terrain, is it rough, is it tough? It is absolutely adjustable for a human population to live. Waterways, what are the water bodies around it, sources of water, fresh water, sweet water, salt water, what are we looking into it? Believe me or not, water is life. Without water, imagining life becomes a bit difficult issue. And the availability of natural resources. When I say natural resources, I am meaning the minerals. I am meaning the flora and the fauna that available. Let us understand the cultural factors. Yes, we are talking about languages, the family component. What is meant in a family? Is it three generation living under a same roof? When I say three generation, the granny, grandparents, the parents, and probably the children, or is it a single unit family that we are looking on into it, or there is no concept of family where there might be single parent altogether working and managing the household? Look, the definition of family has changed of late, right? Family earlier times might mean n numbers of children. Nowadays, it might mean the other way around, as limited number of children as possible. Religion is the diktat that you follow, is the fashion, is the almighty that you believe in, and thereby it relates to the custom, the traditions. which is associated with it. Yes, the availability of food will determine your taste and probably your preference for a certain kind of food. People living near the seashore would love to have fish, probably as the possible. But even in the mountain, it might be fruit based, or fruit might be loved altogether. Milk would be delightful, or should I say, a major component of their diet. Economic factors are all about technologies, education, inflation, exchange rates, and infrastructure. These are the economic factors on which a society's economy, the finances, the flow of finances is dependent upon. I again repeat, tech enabled society, education or knowledge enabled society, inflation, is it basically a transfer of items from one place to another place? Is it only a trade related issues? Is it the exchange rate? Is it the infrastructure which makes a major role? Similarly, of the political legal factors, is the government system? Is it a democratic government? Is it an autocratic government? Is it a communist government? What kind of government that you are going to deal with? We're talking about political stability. Yes, I have already ascertained the importance of political stability. A stable government in the federal form will always encourages business to put in money, invest. Trade barriers and business regulations also decides your interest as far as your liabilities are concerned, as far as your assets are concerned within the boundaries of a country. So, what are the checkpoints? Let me tell it to you. The four elements of international business environments are geography, cultural influences, economic development, political and legal concern, as the case might be. Let us understand the quotas, the tariff, and the embargoes. Now, these are nothing but trade barriers. Again, I repeat, the quotas, the tariff, and the embargoes, which says exactly why a business needs to be incentivized or why a business needs to be a prohibitive in the order. Now, quotas, the reason for quotas is to keep the supply low as possible and the prices at a certain level remain. The supply is always kept at a low and a price as a desired level to express displeasure of the policies of the importing countries. Now, this is where the importing countries will always maintain a quota for it to protect one's own industries, country industries, from too much of competition from abroad. Now, if you do not keep quota, probably the in-house bred industries, the in-house bred entrepreneurs will die of starvation. Probably their quality of product might not be of an optimal level, but they are having a right to make an investment and make a difference as far as their business is concerned. So the local government, the provincial government, the federal government of a particular country would always try to protect their own industry per se, and thus the quota system comes in. Tariff is somewhere though R is a set amount per pound, let's say per gallon or any other unit, which we always set it out, or which always is a prefixed amount that comes around it based on the value of good. A tariff increases the price of an imported product, as the case might be. A high tariff tends to lower the demand. Definitely yes, because a high tariff will means the end customer has to pay more than what he or she is willing to pay for it for the product and reduce the quantity of that import, and that is what the high tariff is all about it. So yes, we are talking about high tariff, we have spoken about quota. Let us talk about the embargoes. Why is there embargoes? To offer more protection from international competition, and we keep an embargo per se to prevent sensitive formations from falling into the hands of unfriendly groups or nations. Now, we are talking about 5G infrastructures. Many countries are hesitating to offer 5G licenses to a country which is playing a major role, probably because of the political differences and political ideologies that they might not be matching with one another. And that is what's the sensitive product of falling into the hands of a foreign or unfriendly groups. Now, that is the reason why embargoes have been put. We do not want certain elements to play a major role in our economies, in our country, and that is the reason why the embargo has been put in first place. So the three formal trade barriers are only about quotas, only about tariffs, and only about embargoes. I'm sure everybody's understand why quota: to protect your industries, Why embargo? To protect your interest. Why tariff? To protect that no one has to pay beyond a certain point of time, certain point of amount. There is a tariff card that has to be played around it. So you want to import gas up to a certain quantities, the prices are fixed. Beyond that quantity, the prices increases by leaps and bounds. So that means the government is not encouraging you to supply more or import more a particular kind of gas probably, or any other item that you can come around it. So why international trade? Why should we go for it? There are other things that comes around it. Now we can increase into international trade with having a something called FTZs. And what is that? FTZs are free trade zones. We are talking about FTAs or free trade agreements. Let's say glorifying example is NAFTA's North American Free Trade Agreement that comes around it, where there is no tariff, no quotas probably, and it's a common market. European Union is an example, glorified example of common market, where you can produce and sell as on when on basis on whatever liquidity you're looking into it. So let us understand free trade zones used to promote international business in a selected area where product can be imported duty free, then stored, assembled, and or used in the manufacturing, usually located around seaport or airport. This is where the location would all about it. Free trade agreement, member countries agrees to remove duties and trade barriers on product trade among them, result in the increase of trade between the members. As the case might be, we are talking about anything and everything that can be increased within the members, within the countries. So it is a tit for tat policies. Everybody is treating each other's market, each other's countries as a local market. Common market is allowing companies to invest freely in each other's members country, allowing workers to move freely across the borders. Example of a common market is European Union, Latin American Integration Association, or LAIA or LAIA, as it's been done. European Union is what I have been trying to tell it to you every now and then. So it common market allows companies to invest freely in each other's countries, allows workers to move freely across the borders. The checkpoint, what we love to go around it, what actions should be taken to encourage international trade. Action that could take to encourage international trade include FTZs or free trade zones, free trade agreements, and common market. With this, I come to an end of this presentation. Thank you for watching this presentation on international business environment.